Hello guys and welcome back. This is part 2 of how to mould your drift parts. So behind me we've got the F22 wings. They're now both flanged, plasticined, waxed and tidied up, ready for all the layers of material to go down. So yeah, we're going to mix up some gel coat, get the first layer on, get the second layer on, then we're going to be doing 5 layers of glass. We're going to be doing, excuse me, I'm just readjusting. We're doing it in 3 sittings. We do 1 layer to begin with, then 2 layers after that. I found 5 layers of this usually mat's actually pretty strong stuff. Don't want to go too overboard. So yeah, here we go. Right, so welcome to my cosy little shed. Bless the mess. What we have our clear gel coat. We have our dense black pigment. I use Llewellyn and Ryland, really good stuff. If you can get the, if you want to just get it, you can already get it pre-mixed gel coat. I just use clear and then pigmented because sometimes I'm doing white panels, sometimes I'm doing black moulds, so it's just easier for me. You can get it pre-mixed. And then we've got our organic peroxide. I use CUROX 312, it's a general purpose organic peroxide. And we use 2% of this to the weight of whatever we've got. Right. So when you do your mixes right, your buckets will break out nice and clean, so you can just keep reusing them. Alright, now when you're adding your pigment, I don't have a specific measurement. Enough so you can't see your stick through it when you lift it out. But black's really easy to pigment. So that was like 2 good globs. Right, so I've got roughly 1 kilo in there. I'm not going to weigh it, I'm just guesstimating it. So I've got roughly 1 kilo in there. Normally I put 2%, 20 cc's. I'm going to put a little bit more in because I'm working in lower temperatures, so we'll get it mixed up and we'll get it chucked on. Right, so I now have 2 layers of gel coat down on both of these. They have had all night to cure. I'm keeping the blinds and that shut in here to try and stop any possible sunlight coming through, because you don't want sunlight coming directly onto your gel coat because it will help release it, and you don't want it released. So now that these are done, I'm now cutting out my glass. So what I did is I measured my biggest length, biggest width, cut out a square, chuck that square back on there, cut round roughly where I want to be. I'm now using that first cutting as a template, and I'm now going to cut all my layers of glass. And for these I'll be doing 5 layers of glass, 5 layers of 450 gram CHOPSTRAND glass. So yeah, I'll get all this cut up, and yeah. Right, so I've got all my layers of mat cut, folded up, ready to go. I'm still having camera issues. My action camera took a fall. It landed on the side button of the industrial case. The button shot into the camera and has ruined the camera. So I'm back on filming my phone. So unfortunately, the footage for that is either lost or temporarily gone, but I wouldn't get your hopes up about seeing this going down. So this is just one layer of glass. Wet the area out first. Then I've got my little pot of choppies here. You buy it like this. You throw this in all of your radiuses. That helps against bubbles, because fiberglass, you know, doesn't like to go into a 90-degree angle. So if you fill that 90-degree angle a little bit with choppies, that saves a lot of hassle with bubbles. So that's the first layer on both of them. Once I finished laying up, I then went all the way around with a pair of scissors just to trim it up while it was still wet, so I didn't have loads of overhang. So I'm going to get the camera, get my phone set up on the tripod, and yeah, we'll time lapse through the next 4 layers. I'm trying something a little bit experimental. A lot of laminators out there are going to go, "You bloody idiot," but I'm going to chuck the next 4 layers down in one hit. Alright? One hit. I recommend when you do it in 2 separate hits. 2 layers at a time. 2 layers at a time. Alright? That's what I'm recommending you do. Do it at 2 layers at a time. I'm going to do it 4 layers at a time because, well, I've got away with it in the past. It's going to save me a lot of time. I've got massive time constraint at the moment. So all 4 layers down, and we'll see if we get away with it. If we don't, it'll be a little bit of repair work on the moulds. It's going to be nothing serious. When it comes to fiberglass, there's nothing you can't fix. Alright? So yeah, I'll get set up, get the next 4 layers down. That'll make it 5 layers in total. Again, I use 5 layers because the mat I'm using is the 450 mat I'm using. It feels like 600 mat. It's really good stuff. I've been doing 5 layer moulds for a couple of years now. Originally I was always doing 7 layers, but that was becoming quite costly, and I didn't see the need for that sort of strength in these sort of moulds. And when you've got a mould that's flanged all the way around the outside, that makes it even stronger. That gives it, when you've got an angle or a nice curve like that, it gives the whole mould strength in itself. So 5 layers is what I've been doing recently. Sorry about me keep covering the camera. So yeah, 4 layers, 5 layers in total, and it's cool in here. I'd say it's about 15 degrees in here at the moment. I've got the windows open, the sun's not quite coming out, so it's about 15 degrees in here. I'm going to do it at the 2% catalyst. Sometimes when I'm doing big layups, I will drop it to about 1.5%. You know what, I might actually do 1.5% just to be safe in this instance. Yeah, no, I'm going to do 1.5% in the resin for the 4 layers, because the problem you get when you're doing too many layers at once is when it's curing, it gets hot. It gets really bloody hot. And when it gets hot, it can start distorting, start going horrible. So I'm going to drop the catalyst just a little bit. It's cool in here, so it'll go off slowly. The temperature won't get too high, and we won't get any pre-release or deformation. So yeah, let's do this. Right, yeah, it's just a quick one. So we've sanded it with 120 grit. I've then brushed off the dust. I've then cleaned it with acetone so that you can then check over for any little air bubbles, because that air bubble is directly under the gel coat of the mould, and a little bit of banging or sunlight on it and expanding the air inside that bubble will eventually, that bit of gel will pop out and you'll have a break in the surface of the mould. So now that we've cleaned it with acetone, we're we can have a good look over it and make sure I haven't missed anything. And I did. I missed 2 little bits. So, don't know if you can see that there. So I've already cut it out with a knife. And then I got another one just over here, similar spot. Now that is why we only start off with 1 layer. 1 layer, you can still just about get a fresh Stanley blade through, pop, you know, cut the top of the blister off so it's open to the next layer of resin to fill up that void. So if you were to put 2 layers of glass down and try and then cut that bubble out through 2 layers of glass, ain't gonna happen. You'd have to use a Dremel to get it out, and that's just, you know. So 1 layer, start off with, rub it down, clean it, check it, devoid anything. Now we're ready for resin and glass. I reckon I'm probably going to go through at least a whole bucket, a whole 2.5 litre bucket. So that'll be about 3 kilos of resin, so we'll see. That's them both laid up now. That went really well. There's no massive change in colour. I've now started to give them a rub down, should I say. So I'm now going to give them a rub down with some 80 grit quickly. I've got to put some feet on them, but I don't have the material here right now. I use some foam that I sculpt into shape and then layer with glass. So we're just going to get these rubbed down nice quick. I'm not going to bother filming that. And then we're going to flip them over and then end the episode. Because the next episode we're going to be doing more intricate flange and our part 2, 3, 4 and 5 moulds which go around the outside of this. So yeah, let's flip it over, see what it looks like. Right, so that's going to be it for part 2 of how to mould your drift parts. In part 3, we're going to be releasing all this black plastic off of the mould, building flange. We've now got to build flange for around this portion of the mould, around this portion of the mould. We've got a lot more to do. So yeah, part 3, we're going to be stripping all this back. And actually, you know what? No, fuck it. Let's do it right now. Let's strip it right back now. We'll end the episode once we see what this looks like. Yep, not looking too shabby. I'm really happy with how that's coming out so far. Give me a little pan run, best I can. Look, my tripod's come loose. 1 second. I'll show you. Right, we're back. So yeah, it's looking rather tidy. So yes, we've gone from shabby, looking pretty nasty, to yeah. So we now have our first part of the mould is made. So technically, if I wanted to, if I was only wanting to make over fenders out of these, I could pop these out right now, and you know, trim the moulds, do a rub down and a polish up and wax, and they're ready to make over fenders. Richard wants to make full wings, so we need to continue. And this is where it gets a bit more difficult. So I'm going to end the episode here. Part 3, we are going to be doing some rather technical flange building and prep work. So if you enjoyed this video, if you want to learn, please like, share and subscribe. And yeah, so I'll see you in part 3. And part 3 is going to be a lot of time lapse. A lot of time lapse. So yeah, going to finish there. Hope you guys enjoyed. The wide body's all one colour. Got stickers on it. I know you can't see it very well. That's because we've got another episode of that coming out. But I've lost a load of footage. It's stuck on an SD card that's formatted to a certain camera. That camera's died. I now can't format the SD card to anything else. So I've now got to buy a replacement exact camera, action camera, and do that so that I can get the rest of that shown to you guys. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.